Hey vinyl community, this is Chris. I thought I'd do a video. I've got some recent acquisitions, so I figured I'd show those. I've made this video once before, but picked up some other records after that, and I'd fleshed out the earlier one with duplicates of things that when I'd gone to the store or the antique mall or the flea market and didn't recognize a record, and then I get home and I see I've got the same thing, and sometimes it's not even an upgrade. So I was showing several of those, but now I've got enough to just have this stand on its own. So it's sort of broken down into part will be keyboard and jazz, and then the other part will be non-keyboard and jazz, more on the folk country side. So, and a few CDs thrown in the mix. So to start with, The Highwaymen, Standing Room Only. This is on United Artists label. This would harken back to my earlier folk. So this is sort of on the collegiate folk side of things, early 60s. And then I got this at the Antique Mall, Flatt and Scruggs, Folk Songs of Our Land from 1962 on Columbia. It seems like the previous year, 61, they had done Carter family songs. So they were just on a folk kick at that point. Then I picked up another Buffy St. Marie, Many a Mile on Vanguard. This might be her second. 1965, I think. Accompanying herself on guitar and mouth bow, and she's got Russ Zavakis on string bass. And then I picked up this 1967 album from B.J. Thomas, Sings for Lovers and Losers. This is on the Scepter label. He does a couple of Hank Williams songs. So, B.J. Thomas. And then I finally ran into this, Freddie Weller, Listen to the Young Folks. This is 1970. On Columbia. Looks like a 2i. So he does a bunch of covers. Merle Haggard, The Band, Billy Joe Royal, Chris Christopherson, Joe South, Freddie Weller, one time Paul Revere and the Raider member of the latter day or middle period. And then I found out the other day I was missing this Blood, Sweat, and Tears album. So Blood, Sweat, and Tears 3, which is a gatefold. On Columbia. And 1972, Alex Harvey, Souvenirs. This is an American Alex Harvey who was the writer of Reuben James, which was a Kenny Rogers single later on. This is on the Capitol label. This cover reminds me of something like a guy has a comb that's stuck in his head or something. But I can't think of who I'm thinking of. But anyway, so then I got this Steeleye Span, 1972, individually and collectively. So it's got some Steeleye Span songs, some songs by Matty Pryor, Martin Carthy. This is on Charisma, the famous Charisma label. Not sure what this album is, if it's a regular release or just a compilation, but it's kind of early. And then 1976, I think, Kinky Friedman, Sold American. This is on the Vanguard label. Kinky Friedman. And then an Ian and Sylvia album that I was missing, Full Circle. This is MGM. Mid-70s, I think. Mid or early 70s. And I picked this Buck Owens up the other day. It takes people like you to make people like me, on Capitol. Joe South has Birds of a Feather, Rose Garden, among other songs. This is also on Capitol. Capitol and Columbia seem to be cleaning up in this, and Vanguard. And then some more bluegrass, Don Reno. Fastest 5 Strings Alive. 1976 on Star Day. It doesn't indicate who's playing with him. And then the last of this batch, Resurrection Band, Rainbow's End, 1979, I think. So this is sort of hard rock. Sounded a little bit like Rush to me on the first song that came on. And then keyboard section starts off with classical. This was an upgrade to a CD that a cassette that I had. Domenico Scarlatti, 24 keyboard sonatas. Maria Tippo is the pianist on this. This is a 2 LP set. on Musical Heritage Society. So, notes, more notes. And Musical Heritage Society. Domenico Scarlatti. Solo piano. And then I got this other one. I was browsing through Memphis Final Gym and the Mrs. Web store, looking for possible trade bait. And I saw they had this album listed at selling for a fair price. So when I ran into it, I figured, okay, that's good. Or I pulled it off the shelf, I forget now. But Beethoven sonatas. Walter Geist-King is the pianist on the Angel label. Don't remember what year this was, but probably early. And then some modern classical, which this was also an upgrade to a cassette I had. Richard Names, Nocturnes of the Celestial Seas, piano solo. So he's composed 6 nocturnes that make up this record. It's on the Delphon label, 1986. I haven't opened this yet. Still sealed. I've got the cassette, so for immediate needs I can listen to that. But I've got 2 other albums by him, more solo piano stuff. And then finishing up the classical part, I got this CD. Holst, Gustav Holst, Music for 2 Pianos. The Planets. So this is 7 songs for 7 different planets in that series. And then there's ballet music making up the final track. Len Vorster and Robert Chamberlain are the 2 pianists that are playing this. It's on the Naxos label. From 1997. And then also Gustav Holst, complete solo piano music. Anthony Gladstone is the pianist. So 12 tracks, Gustav Holst solo piano. Then there's 3 other tracks by Constant Lambert. And this is on the Chandos label. So more solo piano. And then more solo keyboards. Michael Jones, Wind and Whispers. This is I forget what year this was, but it's based upon improvisations based upon an earlier album that he did in the 70s called Wind. So Wind and Whispers, improvisations based on earlier compositions. Michael Jones. And then I decided I was going to, address some of the items on my Discogs want list. So I got this Rand Blake solo piano, Crystal Trip. This is on the Horo label, H-O-R-O. (1977) solo jazz piano, Rand Blake. And I also got this, more solo piano, Rand Blake, third stream recompositions. This is on the Owl label, 1977, reissued in 2007. More solo piano. And then again, more solo piano. John Coates Jr., Alone and Alive at the Deerhead on Omnisound, 1977. Omnisound. And more John Coates Jr. Tokyo concert. So solo piano concert in Tokyo, November 28th, 1979. Again on Omnisound label. And then I got this CD. Somebody had shown a version of this. Per Henrik Wallin, One Knife is Enough. They showed the 1982 vinyl version of this. This is a 2000 something reissue with a 2000 another CD of solo piano added from 2003. So this was, I got what I wanted originally plus another album's worth. Though having the vinyl LP would have been nice. Maybe I'll run into that. But this is on the Caprice label. So solo piano. And then I remembered that I had another CD that I'd gotten by him. 2 CD set. So one's a duo, piano and drums, and the other's piano, bass, and drums. Per Henrik Wallin and others. This is on the Hat Hut label. 2002. And then the final album I got was David Liebman Quintet, Pendulum. This is on Artist House label. I had done a recent jazz video, artist house, and there were several different releases. David Liebman, Richie Bearrock, Frank Tusa. They're all pretty much the same players. They just decided who was going to take credit for the session. So this is one that fell under the David Liebman banner, 1979. And if you could hear any music in the background, that was Taj Mahal Travelers, 1971, I think, was the album. So, thanks everybody, and I'll see you later.